Alright guys, welcome to a tutorial, live tutorial, no script, booting a Linux Live CD. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is adjust one setting in BIOS. Now this setting that I'm talking about, what it does is it tells your motherboard where to boot from. Naturally your motherboard boots from your hard drive, your hard disk drive. What we want to do is change that configuration. We want your computer, your motherboard, to boot as a secondary default to the hard drive. We want to make the default boot the CD drive. Alright? So, very simple. Let me walk you through this. Before I turn this on, this isn't going to be a BIOS lesson. You can check out another video to learn more about BIOS. Your friend is Control-Alt-Delete. Control-Alt-Delete will reset your BIOS. Let me show you what I mean. I turn on the computer and I get a BIOS screen. Control-Alt-Delete right here will reset the computer. I can continue this infinitely. Alright? Pretty simple. Right? Now you'll notice that on the bottom of the screen there's a row. Okay? Now that row is going to have commands. Now they're really hard. Now they're really hard to capture in the corner there, but you'll see that there is a command like F1 or F12 or delete. This one is F2. Alright, and you'll need to keep pressing Control-Alt-Delete over and over. Now if you press Control-Alt-Delete too late and it starts booting Windows, you'll be stuck. Here we are. I put my CD in the tray and F2 was my command to get into BIOS. That was all I had to do. Now if you missed it and it starts loading Windows, then that means you need to go back and retry it. Don't turn off your computers while Windows is booting. Alright, so Linux Live CD. What I have to do is change the boot order. Alright, now let me zoom in a little bit and show you guys what I mean. One of your options inside BIOS will be your boot option, and with left and right I can scroll over to the boot menu. Alright, so I'll press up and down to be able to toggle between different options. What this is a master boot order. So if you want to boot from your CD, DVD, ROM, that has to be set to the top. You'll notice little icons at the bottom that tell you how to move items. For this specific motherboard, to move items, I want to press F5 and F6. That's your move up and move down. See, now my Toshiba hard drive is set to be the master boot. I want to set my CD, DVD, ROM as the master boot option, just in case I can't get to my boot menu. So now that you know that, press F10 and save it. Now your BIOS may look a little bit different, and that's okay. It'll be the same type of settings. Now, when I turn my computer on, it's preset to boot from the CD-ROM. If that still doesn't work, you can try looking up information about selecting the boot manager from BIOS. Now, what's happening here is you'll see the little flashy icon, little flashy cursor. You'll see the little logo, the little Ubuntu logo, another flashy cursor, and Ubuntu is loading straight from the CD-ROM, not the hard drive. We're not making any changes to our hard drive whatsoever. This is simple stuff. So it'll sit here and load for a while. It will take a few moments to load your live CD. Go get yourself some coffee or have a cigarette, whatever it is you like. Now you'll start to see the screen assembling itself. And before it fully loads, it's going to ask you some questions like, do you want to install Ubuntu right here, right now? Or do you want to try out Ubuntu? Now it's searching for a wireless network. It wants to make auto connection, get updates. So the GUI is fully loaded. And here we are. Do we want to try Ubuntu or do we want to install Ubuntu? I'm going to select try Ubuntu. Now we can install Ubuntu from right here if we want to. But this tutorial is about simply booting the live disk. The next tutorial will be about full dual boot installation of Linux. Regular installation of Linux by itself on a single computer is so easy that I do not feel it needs a tutorial. But if you want to have the option to use both Windows and Linux upon starting your computer on one computer, known as dual boot, that is the fun way to do it. That will be the next tutorial. So here we are in Ubuntu. We've got our start page. Gparted is one of my favorite programs. This is Linux version of the Partition Manager. And we're just going to check the system out and see how things are running on this Linux live install. Going quite well, I would say. So here on this unallocated space is where we want to install Linux. And we want to make sure that it says unallocated completely, because we don't want to delete anything that Windows wrote down. We want Windows to think that this area is blank, not like Windows free space or unformatted, any kind of thing. We want unallocated. So that was a demonstration of using a Linux live CD. Here we go. I'm not going to type in the internet connection, but it's just like the desktop. It has a browser. It comes with Firefox. Firefox is a Linux browser. It comes with an LibreOffice, LibreOffice Calculator, LibreOffice Express. These are all Word, Access, and Excel type programs. A PowerPoint. All this stuff is free. Here's your software store and your system settings. You'll notice it's a lot like Apple, or Apple looks a lot like Linux, one of the two. And that's it. There you have it. Just for fun, we'll create a new partition and we'll make it 10 gigabytes. Oops. And we'll make it an, oh yep, you know what, we better make the whole thing an extended partition. There we go. We'll make it an extended partition. Now that it's an extended partition, we'll apply, boom, close. And then just for fun, we'll wait for this guy. See, now I'm actually making changes to my hard disk from a Linux Live CD. And I'm preparing this area right here for an installation of Linux. But first thing I want to do is, so I made an extended partition. And logical partitions go inside extended partition. Windows is where our primary partition is. We're going to create a new logical extension. A logical partition, and I want it to be good old FAT32. That way I can share this hard drive with Windows and Linux. So I'm going to change this to 1000, and everything looks like I said it right. And add, that's perfect. Apply. Are you sure you want to apply these? You are darn right I want to apply those. So now I've just made a 10 gigabyte hard drive partition that I can store files on. So if I'm dual booted and I'm going from Windows to Linux, now I have a little 10 gigabyte hard drive partition that I can store info on and access from both systems. That way I don't have to have a USB stick or an SD card, and it takes forever to write files to those things anyway. So if I'm dealing with video files or audio files or anything like that, once I've installed Linux, I'll have this little 9.77 gigabyte hard drive partition. It's great. It's wonderful. It's magical. So I'm glad you guys got the opportunity to see me use a live CD in action, and I hope it helped you to understand what a live CD is and how to use it. So thanks for watching, guys, and subscribe, like, and comment.